Hey everybody, this is Jesse Jerning coming at you today with basically my entire publish to profit system. So this is going to show you how you can get unlimited clients absolutely for free using zero ad spend, doing something that you should be doing anyway. So I have a system I call Publish to Profits, and in Publish to Profits, the way it works is very simple. You find the resources that your leads are already using and publish content in them. This system works best for people that have like location dependent businesses. I've done this for two of my own businesses. I have a luxury coin, gold, and watch brokerage shop. And when I bought mine, it was ugly. It's just an awful shop, but I didn't want the shop for the location. I wanted it so I could be able to broker assets. And I found that it was really hard to market because there was a bunch of other shops and they had bigger ad budgets. I had like no money. So I started publishing articles talking about all the things that I knew how to do that people wanted to know. And after 5 weeks, so I published 7 articles in 5 weeks, I was so crazy busy that I was able to exit the shop probably at this point 7 years ago incredibly profitably. And it was all because I used this system. I've used this for my coin shop and gold business. I used it for my entertainment business. And since then, I have used this for 4 dozen different companies. And it's super simple. I'm going to walk you through the entire process. So let's dive in. First things first, Publish to Profits is a no-cost lead generation system. And the way it works is you find all of the local publications, circulars, glossies, and digital resources that people within your area of service read. So a great example for me is when I owned the coin shop, I had 7 different publications in probably 100-mile area that my customers read. And they're mostly like free things, like free newspapers, circulars. And I'm going to tell you where you can find these and how to pitch these in a minute, but let's just start here. And what I did was I gathered up a bunch of them, right? And so I started finding out like where my audience is looking for information, just like you would know who your audience is. So I did a local computer restoration company. They served a community of about 95,000 people, and they largely worked with people between the ages of 50 and probably 65. They had a really interesting split of people that served businesses that were solopreneur owned, who had to have a digital element, who weren't like computer savvy, and then older people that just want their computers to run well. And so we pitched 19 publications over the course of a month. We got accepted in 7, and we had 7 articles coming out every 2 weeks about this company. And so what we did was we pitched the publication that the audience read, and then they created content that the leads trusted. And so I'm going to tell you how to identify the exact content to publish every time you publish an article here in a little bit, because this system just absolutely blows the competition out of the water. But the main idea is that you are going to publish content that resolves a key question your customer would have in a way that they can solve the problem using what you said at home. Now, we're not going to be doing big complex solutions, obviously, but we want to arm them with information, because one of the biggest mistakes people make in any type of content marketing or lead generation is like, it's called gatekeeping, where like you force the person to learn more by giving you some type of asset, an email, a call, a small fee. We're doing away with all that because we want to show them like we're an authority and we're building this authority through trust. Okay. Then the final thing is we're going to funnel qualified leads into what we're going to call an offer framework. And so what an offer framework is a very simple ask upsell. Most of the like mistakes I see with companies who try to do this themselves and is this, like they'll go and they'll get the content published, which is a great job. But once the content is published, then what they'll do is they'll immediately sell their most expensive thing to every single like lead that comes in. And sure, like there will be some leads that will buy it automatically. But the problem is you're not making a majority of your money off them. You're losing money because you should be building a list that you can send small upsell offers to out every month. So going back to the example of the computer company, every month they would send out a singular offer and email at the first business day of the month. And what they tell their leads they generated through this system is, hey, we're doing $50 updates. If you bring your computer in with what your problems is, you get 15 minutes and $50. We'll be able to solve your problem. And the real goal, of course, was to like get them in to be like, we can solve this if you have these bigger issues. And then you would upsell from there. Everybody will look different, but this is just a quick overview. You're going to find resources that your leads already trust and use the authority of that resource to get your message in front of them. You're going to anticipate and answer the questions that your leads have about the things that you do, so you can create authority that not only do you know what you're doing, but you enable people to get solutions. So that way you're actually qualifying leads in a way where they're only coming to you with problems that are profitable for you to solve. And 3, you're going to build an offer framework by funneling the leads into either your social or your website that's going to collect either an email or a cell phone, whatever your business does. And then you're going to once a month send them an offer with an upsell. So let's get into exactly how to do this, because this system is absolutely amazing. I'm trying to push on every single person I know. This is just crazy. So First, let's find out how you can find the publication. This is like the biggest question people ask when they try to do this stuff is like, how do I find the right publications to pitch and where are they? So first off, you got to know who your audience is, right? So don't just start pitching every single newspaper or every single circular or glossy or digital resource, right? What you really want to do is know who your audience is and what they're reading. So when I owned the coin shop, I knew that my audience generally read 3 magazines. They read a local newspaper. They read 2 circular glossies. So what's a glossy? What's a circular? Glossies are, if you go to like a grocery store, usually like a nicer one, you'll see that they have like the big, they're almost like real estate magazines where like it has a realtor's face on it. It has articles. They read a lot of that. It's basically free stuff they use to entertain themselves or local papers that they're familiar with because they grew up with. So you want to find out like what your audience reads. And usually the answers are pretty easy. Like if your audience is between a certain age set, they're probably reading certain assets, right? If you have a younger audience, you want to be posting more digital sources, which the same process works digitally as it does for print. So when I get to the process showing you how to pitch to get your articles published, understand that that process works across the board, not just for publications. So what you can do is like go to your local stores, go to the grocery stores, go to the coffee shops, go to even the tourism offices, and you'll see all these different free publications that you can take. Get as many as you can and take them home. Once you get home, go through and find out who the head editor is or the head publisher, and you're going to email them. And I'll explain to you exactly how to write the email here in a little bit so they say yes to what you're offering. But build out a list, put it in a Google Doc, put it in a sheet, even put it on a piece of paper, but have all of them have their names because you're going to use that to do your pitching here in a second. And finally, one thing that I do really well for my customers is I find the groups that they are in that aren't just publications. So like one thing that works really well for me is churches. Usually like a community will have like 2 or 3 major churches, and those churches usually put out like weekly newsletters. So I use the same pitch process when I teach you to pitch those newsletters to get articles in them. It could also be like a community club that has like a monthly newsletter. It could be a group that has it. Anything that has a monthly piece of content that they read, getting your content in there can be really powerful if the group that you market to is in that like group of people who read that content. So if I am a coin shop owner and there is a local church and they regularly have things about building wealth for their parishioners, it would absolutely make sense for me to have my prosperity message in a prosperity gospel newsletter, right? So let's continue. So how do you write the pitch so an editor says yes, even if you have zero experience writing pitches at all? Super simple. What you're going to do is take 3 main problems that your audience has that they often pay you for, that A, you feel like they really shouldn't pay you for, and B, your audience hates paying for. So a great example of this from like the HVAC space. I have a couple HVAC companies that I've done this process for, and they say the number one thing they hate is charging $200 to people for a service call because they didn't think to like spray off their air conditioner at the end of June. You know, obviously the air conditioner gets covered in stuff, quits drawing air, quits working. They have to come out and they basically pay $200 for 10 minutes to spray down their air conditioning unit and tell them to turn it back on, right? What you do is you take some type of problem like this, some kind of easy thing that your customer could probably solve themselves and doesn't really want to pay you for. And you don't really want to get paid for it either. Like obviously the $200 on-call hour isn't really making the company money. It's not building goodwill. So like everybody kind of loses. So find situations like that that they can solve it themselves. And you're going to use that as your hook to the editor. So you'd write something that says close to this. And let's assume the editor's name is Jamie. Dear Jamie, this is Jesse with HVAC Incorporated. We're getting ready to go into the summer season, and I find that I often get between 15 to 25 clients who have to pay me for services that they could have solved themselves. I'd really like to start publishing content showing people how to fix these problems because they're not really profitable for us to fix. And the customer hates paying for something that's so easy for us to do, but we have sunk labor costs. If you're interested in getting some content published like this, I'm happy to do it for free. I'll even have it proofread. Just let me know. I'll send you an article idea, and if you like it, I'll write it. And if that passes muster, we can get publishing. Super simple. So let's like kind of back off and understand why this works. So the first thing is, you're making it about their audience. You're not trying to get in front of people to say like, hey, we're really great. You should hire us. Here's all the amazing things we do. What you're actually telling them is like, hey, like your audience has this problem that we have to solve all the time. They hate paying for it. We hate profiting from it because we're not making much money. This is a valuable thing for your readers. Why don't we share this content. So you're making it about their audience. They're making it about an outcome. It's not about a pitch. It's not about like a thinly disguised ad. It's about actually adding value, right? So then the next step is to offer to write an article for review. And this is the important one. So you've kind of got the simple inbound. So you're not asking them to say yes to publishing it. You're asking them to say yes to like either, here's my idea, what do you think? Or I can even write this up and send it over. And if you think it's good, we can publish it. So the goal is to just get the easy yes. Like the big yes is getting the published, but you want to go attention, qualification, proof, yes. And that's the real goal, right? You want to take down the barriers to yes by making it easier for the publisher. Because one thing to remember is your publisher and your editor, whoever you're pitching, they're way too busy. They're underpaid, they're understaffed, and they're working way too long for way too little. So the easier you can make it for them to get the outcome they want, which is quality content their audience likes, the more likely are to not just say yes, but keep publishing you forever, which I give you some tips later at the end of this to show you how to get published for years. It's worked for me and all my clients, and you'll love it. Okay, so you're going to start with a great hook, which is basically our audience, your audience has stuff that they can do themselves that they don't want to pay for, and we don't want to charge them for. Why don't you let us share this content so everybody can be happier? You offer to write an article for them to review. So that way you're proving that you're going to show up on time, that the article, they're not going to have like space saved and be like, this is a shitty article. Like you're making it easy for them to say yes. And then next you're going to personalize each email. And this is like the big mistake I'm going to see a lot of people who don't work with me make. And don't make this mistake. Personalize each email. Don't get a template. Don't get an AI chat prompt. Go out and write each email. There will be some things that'll be the same, like the, Dear XYZ, this is XYZ from XYZ reaching out. That is obviously going to be the same. But you want your pitch to be personal. You want it to be different for each one because you're going to see what gets the best take. So for instance, let's say I'm going to pitch 7 articles. And so what I would do is I would pitch each editor a single idea or a variation of it. So you'd say like, one of the things they struggle with at HVAC is that people aren't blowing off their EC units. So if you're interested, I'll write an article telling them the safest way to do it to make sure their air conditioning units work all summer long. And then the next pitch could be like, one of the biggest challenges people have in the middle of the summer is their AC units go down. I can publish an article showing you the 3 things to keep that from happening. So it's the same idea, just different perspectives. And then finally, you're going to send it. But remember, these people are incredibly busy. So it's going to be one of 2 things. Either they are going to follow up within like a day, or they'll kind of flatline it, which means they're not getting a response. So then what you'll do is like every 2 days, you'll just follow up. You'll say, so if you send it Monday, you would follow up on Wednesday and be like, James, I'm just bumping this top of your inbox. I'll follow up in a couple of days until I hear back. And if you don't hear back by Friday, you send back Monday and be like, hey, James, just checking in to see if you have any questions. If you don't hear back by Wednesday, you send another one. It's like, hey, James, I have this article ready. Would you like to just get eyes on it to see if something like this would fit you? And the goal is just to stay with it until you get a yes or a no. If you get a yes, cool, go on with that relationship. If you get a no, and this is where like why my customers love why I do, but the no isn't a hard stop because the no is just permission to send the next pitch and be like, so if somebody says like, no, we're not really interested in this right now, be like, hey, I totally get it. Like what I'll do is once a month, I'll send an idea. And if we do find something over that period of time that fits, awesome. And I found on average, when you get no's like that, usually between 2 and 4 months in, you'll get a yes, which sounds like a long time. But when you compound all the other work you're doing and all the other no's and yeses you're getting over the course of like 3 to 6 months, you can be having between 5 and 12 people publishing articles by you. So think about that. If you were to have, let's just average it out to 7. Say you had 7 full-page ads going out or half-page ads going out every single week or twice a week. What would 14 half-page ads cost you per month in marketing? Probably somewhere between usually $1,500 to $2,500 a piece. So you're getting, $15,000 to $25,000 worth of free marketing, and you're doing it without competing against other ads for attention, and you're building authority. That's why this system is so powerful. All right, let's keep going. So next thing we need to do is how to quickly write authority building content that leads love. So you found all the resources, you've pitched them, you started getting some yeses. Here's how you write the content. And this isn't crazy big content marketing strategy, super simple. Anticipate and answer the questions that your customers will have about what you do. For instance, let's say when I was the gold coin shop owner, people would say like, how do I know what the real value of gold is? Or how do I know what my gold's worth? So I would write an article about how to tell what their gold was worth. Let's say that you're a massage therapist and you're trying to explain like, does massages really help? Or can a massage help with my arthritis? Or can a massage help me with my mobility? Will a massage help me recover?
Your goal is to anticipate and answer very common questions your customers ask with your content. So just think about it from the customer's perspective. This is something we call expert blindness, where like we all know what we do so well that our brain is able to make all these super quick jumps. And so it's like, well, of course it's got to go X to Z. I don't need to do Y because I know Y is included in the process, but your customer doesn't, right? Your customer is, think of them like a sixth grader where you have to explain it to them. And this is something I talk about how to make it easy to read, which we'll get here in a second, is your goal is to make the content so easy to read that somebody with zero experience doing the solutions that you're selling can go apply it and see a result positively, right? Okay, so you're going to anticipate and answer your customers' questions. The next thing is you want to make it easy to read. So that means writing it very simply. No technical language, no trying to sound smart. I am a fractional CMO that helps people build pipelines that become paid wait lists. I do lead generation with offer engagement optimization, but I don't use any of that language. I just tell people like, help you generate leads ad free. Everybody understands that. All the technical stuff on the back end is what I'm doing, but you don't care. You just have like lead free lead or ad free lead generation, right? And so that is what you want to do with your messaging, is make it super easy. So whoever sees it can immediately go, yeah, I totally get that. One of the easy ways to do that is to go on Google and type in reading score calculator, bring up whichever one it has, copy and paste the article that you wrote into it, and then they'll give you a grade. And so it would be like, oh, this is a 12th grade leading level. Your goal is to shoot for between a 5th and 8th grade leading level. You don't really want it to go any higher than 8th. And there will be, some of you will be kind of hard because you might have to use technical terms. Like for my massage therapist count, I had 2 massage therapists clients, and both of them couldn't really get below 9th and 10th grade level because they would talk about like specific muscle areas. And so they'd have to use the muscles names and the scientific terms. But the rest of it was very easy to read. Okay, so next you're going to take your article and break it into 3 sections. The problem, the solution, troubleshooting. Super simple. You don't want people to think about what it is they need to do. You want it to be very easy. Introduce the problem. So for the HVAC company, be like, how to keep your air conditioner from going out in the middle of summer. So like, here's the problem. You don't want, and you talk about like, here's the problems that will happen if your air conditioner go out, and here's where it can multiply. So like, not only will it make your house warmer, but it could cause other problems, which could cause high repair costs. Here's how you prevent that from happening. And then the solution section is basically like, here are the 3 common things that cause air conditioners to go out. Here's how to prevent them. Boom, boom, boom. And the final one's troubleshooting. So it's just something to the degree of this last section. I tell them, here's the common problems people face when they do it. Here's why they're facing it. Here's how to make sure it's not a problem. Again, problem, solution, troubleshooting. Every single time, because you not only are making it easy to read, you're making it easy to understand. Because when you chunk sections one by one, they don't have to think about it. They know what's needed. Finally, you're going to close with a call to action. What is a call to action? If you don't know what that is, a call to action is when you're asking somebody to do something. So because we're not doing like a direct offer here and we're trying to build a list of qualified leads, we would then tell them like, hey, if you love what we're sharing here, we've got more content on our website or our social page, whichever you use to generate and manage leads. If you're interested in learning more, hop over and join us. Happy to help. And so if you are on a social page, you should have a link at the very top, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, social, whatever. It's like a join our offer list or join our email list. And so like join your email list and boom, you just got a qualified lead. If they go to your website, same thing, have what's called like a lead capture and talk to your web person. You can put it together pretty easily, but basically they land there, they have a little pop-up box or just something right there on the side. It's like, want more daily tips to protect your stuff? Join us here. Want help protecting your HVAC? Join us here. Basically something that ties what the articles you're publishing are about to why they're there, right? So now let's think about it. We have anticipated and answered questions your clients have. That means you're building authority because not only are you showing to them like, hey, I know exactly what you're struggling with, but also here's how to solve it. You made it easy to read. So that way people can read through it really quickly because people have a lot of demands on their attention. The easier it is to read, the more likely the whole thing is to get read, which is more likely to qualify the lead, which makes them more likely to join your list. Break each article into 3 sections: intro, the problem, the solution, troubleshooting. Super simple. And finally, close that call to action to drive them to something, to call you, to book a call, to join your email list, whatever you want to do. Don't try to book like a quote right away because that's not necessarily going to work, but you want to take the interest they have and transfer it to being on your list. Okay, so we have discovered how to find out where these people are, how to pitch the editors so they say yes to your content, and how to turn no's into ongoing yeses to get hundreds of articles published a year. I've showed you the exact steps to follow to publish high authority building content and what to do with the leads at the end of it. let's get into the 3 common mistakes people make running the system and how to avoid them. First, not meeting deadlines. This is the number one problem out of all of it. You've done the work, you wrote the article, and you did all this stuff, but you didn't meet a deadline. Every editor and publisher is, like I said, crazy busy. They're doing so much work all the time. If you aren't making their jobs easy, you're just going to get pushed out. They have to manage not just the layout, they have to manage the ads, the accounts. They're doing way more work than they need to. So if you show up ahead of deadline and your stuff is, then I'm going to share you a tip here how to not just show up, but get it like ready to go for them. It's just so much easier. The easier you make the editor and the publisher's lives, the more likely they are to not just publish, but keep publishing you. 2, not sharing useful knowledge. These articles are not an excuse to pitch people, okay? You want to build trust with your leads. You want to publish good content. You don't want to pitch. You want to teach. You're a guide. Think of it like that. Like, you're not a guy who's out there like a TV salesman. You are a person who is instructing them on how to solve their problems. So when it comes to a problem that they need to pay someone to solve, nobody else comes to mind. You've brainwashed them by thinking only of you, right? And great content does that. It does the work for you. So when they show up, they're pre-qualified. Finally, writing over the customer's head. You don't want to sound smart. You want to sound helpful. My single rule, the golden rule is make your content so easy to follow and apply that a person with 0 prior experience can see success doing what you share. So if I'm not HVAC like smart, I can read the HVAC article and understand like how to turn my AC unit off, how to spray it down correctly so I don't ruin it, and how long to wait to turn it back on to make sure it keeps working well. Super simple, right? I'm not going to talk about special foams that I need to spray from the inside out or why I should be doing this certain times a year. No, I just like what I need to do, how I need to do it, what I need to do to make sure it works. Simple. Okay, so those are the 3 common mistakes that often make this not work. Here are a couple things you can do to keep getting your articles published for years. So usually when I do this for a customer, they'll have between 7 and 20 articles come out every month for years. When I did the Coin Shop and my entertainment business, between the 2 of them, and by the way, together they ran for about 7 years each. So between the 2 of them, I probably published 900 articles. So I showed up 900 times between a half and full page in places my leads read. And I was able to generate enough growth that when I sold my businesses, I exited profitably, just like many of my other customers have, because they follow these 3 simple things. 1, like I mentioned earlier, show up ahead of schedule. So don't just meet the deadline, show up before the deadline. This just shows the publisher and the editor they have one less thing to worry about. And the less they have to worry about, the more trust they'll have. 2, and I said this is an ad-free spin. One thing I do suggest every client to do is to pay a proofreader. And the reason for that is not that you're good or bad at grammar, but because when you hand it off to an editor, you say, just so you know, and you write this in the email, I paid a proofreader. They've already gone through. If you want to put eyes on it one more time, absolutely okay. But they said it's ready to go. You just took so much work off their just table, right? Like, let's say it takes them 30 minutes to, proofread, and then they might have to go back once or twice. But if you show up, it's like, hey, I showed up ahead of deadline, a couple days. 2, I got you an article and I already paid to have it proofread, so you don't have to proofread it. Oh my God. Like, not only going to keep publishing this, but they will happily trust and promote you to other people. And this is like a little tip I do when I work with people, whether they're in my community membership group or they're working one-on-one with me, is once you develop trust with a publisher or an editor, you can then leverage them as a referral network to dozens of other things because they know about sources that you can't find that will absolutely amplify your message. And they can speak to your quality, which makes it easier to get to yes faster with more complex sources. All right, finally, send out a content schedule for each month. So let's say you get 7 articles published a month, and 3 of those are bi-monthly. So you've got 3 magazines publishing 2 articles a week. So what you do for each of those magazines is say hey, I'm going to send you a content schedule for each month. You look at it, review it, maybe give me some notes on what to update. But it's a very simple brief, 2-3 sentences at most. Becomes like, Article 1, I would like to talk about this for these reasons. Article 2, I'm going to talk about this for these reasons. So the editor can look at it and go, oh, that's great. Or, you're going to publish this. Make sure you clarify this, this, and this. So that way, not only does your content show up better, but you're giving the editor a sense of agency. So they're not just getting random crap out of the middle of nowhere, but they're able to influence the inbound of what you're writing. So that way they're like, oh yeah, not only is it going to come in great, but I've already helped them improve it. So by the time it gets to me, it's launch ready. So if you are looking to generate ad-free leads from authority building content to build your location-dependent business, join me by clicking the link below in my profile. I'll hop on a quick call and I'll show you how you can apply this to yourself. I have 2 offers for people, either a membership group or I do it with you. So if you're interested in having me help, let me know and I'll talk to you soon.